Welcome to the podcast. Now that I'm engaged, how do I get married? I'm your host, Kevin Dennis.
And I'm August Yocher, co-host and brand manager at Fantasy Sound Event Services.
In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago.
Each week on this podcast, we'll explore a new corner of wedding planning so you can prepare for your I-dos without the stress.
From budgeting to booking vendors to the day of drama.
Let's talk smart wedding planning.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? And we have Irene from Irene Co Events, and she's here today to talk to us about luxury logistics, the invisible work behind exceptional events. I got it.
Hi, friends.
Without messing it up. So
yeah, no stumbling.
I know. I stumbled when we practiced. Anyway, all right, Irene, tell us a little bit about yourself and how we got you here today.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. My name's Irene from Irene Co Events. I am a wedding planner with offices in Utah, Connecticut, and New York. And I'm also a mom of twins. So kind of planning life and all of my staff and then people's weddings is an art in itself, I find.
How old are your twins, just out of curiosity?
They're 5. They're going to start kindergarten in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's exciting. Your life will forever change once school starts. So
I'm so excited. They're so excited. We've been practicing bus routes, and honestly, we couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, I love it. All right, we're going to dive into our topic here today. So, Irene, when couples hear the word luxury events, they often think about beautiful design, expensive details. So, what does luxury mean to you beyond what guests can actually see?
I think, to me, in this day and age and in this economy, I think having a wedding with guests is a luxury in many ways. So at any level that you're doing a wedding, if you are spending money and investing into an experience for you and your guests, that is luxury. Let's just baseline that there. When people think about luxury or ultra luxury weddings, we are really going into that $300, $500, $700 to $1 million weddings. That's when I think luxury is when we're over that $300,000 mark. That's when the details become more personalized. The experience with your clients become a lot more gentle and hands-on and very high touch, because it's not just about like how thick the linens were or how great the paper was, but it's truly about how personal every single detail was, not just for the two of them, but for all of their guests. That's when luxury really starts hitting that mark.
Yeah, the feeling itself.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So you've talked about like the invisible work behind an exceptional wedding. So what do you think are some of the things that happen behind the scenes that couples don't even realize that their planner is managing?
Oh man, I feel like half of my job, it's almost like that iceberg theory. You only see the tip of it.
Yes.
And there is a giant block of ice of work that me and my team are executing in the background, whether it's constant follow-ups and communication with vendors prior to the event, whether it's managing timelines with different family member requests, not just the couple's request, and really managing those emotions with logistics is really hard. But also on the day of, we just had a wedding this weekend that had someone have a total disaster of a nightmare of a breakdown, and we had to find transportation for 150 people with about a 15 minutes notice. And that's like the invisible work that you're paying a planner to do, is when things really hit the fan, who is actually picking up those pieces and who is making sure that the resources are in place to be able to execute on the day of as well as after the day, and making it all seamless to give you still a great experience and recover. It's a lot. It's honestly a lot. Again, you only see the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Well, and were you successful in getting everyone moved?
Yeah. What'd you do?
Okay, small story time because it's so fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
We had 150 people staying about 45 minutes from the venue for their wedding, and transportation just did not hit the mark, unfortunately. And we had to get 150 guests down the mountain to their final destination. Luckily, we we're able to switch things around in the timeline, start with a different cocktail hour, give a little bit more breath onto things. And we lost about an hour and 45 minutes in our normal timeline. And it was a little chaotic, but we ordered so many Ubers. I called private hotels that were nearby to give their private transportation that they would have done for only their guests. I called all my favors in and I was like, everyone needs to get to this hotel. This is what I need. And we had like 25, 30 cars there within like 20 minutes to get everyone there.
That's impressive.
No small task for all of us. But
that's a big lift. That's a big
crazy logistics that had to ensue. But we were very, very fortunate and very lucky to have such a great team that as soon as we heard what was happening and what the call was, that it was a full-on jump to action kind of moment to be able to get everyone there. Our ceremony started still on time, miraculously.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
impressive.
rest of the night, we caught right up to the perfect timeline at the rest of the night.
That's impressive.
That's some invisible work if no one's going to ever really understand what happened.
No.
And it's just the benefit of having a planner too. Like, I mean, I think people think, oh yeah, I can do all the planning myself, but then it's also the day of, like when, ultimately shit sometimes hits the fan, like who's going to be the one that manages all of that and the chaos?
No, that's
for
so
sure.
True. So true. All right. So Irene, what's an example of something that can look completely effortless to a guest, but actually requires a huge amount of planning and coordination? Other than
definitely
what we just talked about.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm going to have PTSD for a long time. I think something that really looks so effortless, but requires so much coordination is a table layout and like a guest layout for dinner or a reception.
I agree.
The amount of intricacies involved, that it's not only about the design of what table is where, but in how these tables interact with each other. But you have an emotional element of where the guests actually seat and how the couples are arranging their guests appropriately. That can be a lot of pressure on the couple too. And it's one of those pressures I try to alleviate, but I don't know your guests. Like I've never seen 150 of these people.
Yeah.
So that can be very complicated. And then we add the layer of catering, that we want to give a personalized experience to every guest seated at the table, which means I need to know dietary restrictions. I need to know what preferences you have. If there's any sort of major allergies or, hey, there's only this whiskey I would like with dinner, those kinds of things. I make notes on every single guest coming so that server can really hone in and give a 5-star experience.
That's amazing.
Well, and how early on in the planning process do those logistical type things start happening?
From day one. I just had we call our priorities meeting as our first call with a couple. We just had one yesterday and we're going over, this is how the seating assignment works. This is all the information. We have a whole year or 2 years to find and figure out for everyone. I want to know your guests. I don't just want to know you. And it's a whole thing. So I try to learn the guest in pieces. So I know them from their addresses of regionally where they're from when we're doing save dates. And then I start piecemealing, okay, we might have heavier drinkers because they're from here, or I see there's some people from Asia, so maybe we should tailor the menu a little bit more to something that they're comfortable with and things like that. So throughout the process, I'm thinking about the guest experience the entire way and how it interacts logistically with catering. But also my favorite thing is linens. So I'm like, what does the table look like? And will these people appreciate it based on regions or backgrounds or the couple and their story? So it's really important for me to factor in everything the entire time and build something in layers rather than just waiting till the end.
Wow, that's honestly really above and beyond, like thinking about guests in a regional way too. Like you really are thinking about the individuals, not just the group as a whole.
Oh, I think when we order things specifically for a bar, it 100% matters where the guests are coming from.
Yeah.
If I have a full guest list from California coming to Utah, that is an entirely different bar order than if I have people coming from New York. Like there are very clear expectations that we have that we've seen just doing so many destination weddings. We want to make sure everyone's comfortable and really have what they need or what they would expect.
I know us Californians were a pain. So anyway.
What do we order?
Us New Yorkers are a lot too. Don't worry.
All right. So Irene, how much does the venue itself impact the logistics of a wedding?
Oh man, I think if you're not at the right venue from the start, you've just stabbed yourself in the foot and you're just
Mm,
going to be going uphill. You really need to pick a venue that matches your priorities first. So
Hmm.
some people will come to me with their date and their venue and then explain their priorities. And sometimes I have to backtrack them to say, hey, that
mm,
doesn't work here. So it's
mhm,
so much better and so much nicer when we get to do a venue discovery together and I get
mhm.
to guide them based on their priorities, the venues that are really going to fit their guest count and their needs and wants and expectations.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense because it cracks me up because there's a lot of times we'll, because we do a lot of draping and lighting and chandeliers,
Hmm.
but there's
Which is incredible.
well, thank you. But clients come to us and they're like, "We want to drape the entire room," and I'm like, "Why? Why are we even here? Like, why did we pick this venue if we don't want anyone to see what it looks like? We could be at a tent in a parking lot somewhere, and no, it would look the same and feel the same. I don't. It just kind of makes me laugh when people do that. So I agree with you 100%.
I love
Yeah.
venues with so much character
Oh
that
yeah,
when you
Yeah.
cover the whole world, I'm like, well, we just lost so much architecture. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
why?
Well, and some of it, like draping a backdrop or some things, I get. But when we
That's
or
different.
a
Yeah.
wall, sometimes I get the wall. But when we do the entire room, I'm just like, what are we doing here? So
Yeah,
anyway,
there has to be a separate element in that room. So, for example, we did a full drape, full carpet install. The
hmm
room was
Wow.
unrecognizable at the end of the time, but we chose that venue because of the ceremony location on a
yeah,
deck over the mountain and
Hmm.
everyone being able to stay on property. So
hmm
there was a priorities and a need for things, but it still made sense at the end of the day. It wasn't just like, we're here, please cover it.
Yeah. So, like those couples that come to you and they already have a venue and a date in mind, what kind of questions do you typically ask them to help them find those priorities or come to realize, like, yes, maybe this venue is the right fit versus maybe we need to steer in a different direction?
I think we're definitely talking about your guest count and what
Hmm.
are the realistic amount of people that you want to show up. I'm talking about whether they have a priority of a band or a DJ or musician. So I know how much of that square footage is being taken up by a stage or tech
mm,
tables or any regard. I'm also talking about like catering expectations. Do you have very specific cultural or regional things that you would really like? And are those caterers allowed in that space? That's a really big one for
Yeah.
us. We do a lot of mixed culture weddings. So it's important that all of those things can be customized throughout the process. And then I'm also asking about their experience like getting ready and what they want to feel at the
mm,
end of the night when the party's over. So I know do they want to be on property? Do they not want to be on property? Are we having transportation involved? This is all like guest experience and logistics that are not the sexy fun thing
yeah,
of what color your linens are, but it's
No. Yeah.
important that if a bride naturally or any couple naturally gets really car sick, why would I want her getting ready off property to then go in a bus to go to a venue?
yeah,
We
makes
just
sense.
we just ruined your experience. So it's a lot of little intricacies that I want to know about them to make sure that I'm crafting the space around them.
All right. Let's talk about vendor communication. How much coordination happens between like a planner and the different venues before the day of the wedding?
Oh man, I've never counted my email threads, but this is why there's a
Yeah.
minimum of a 1 year, a 1 year mark. Um, I think to give you a taste of vendor communication, we manage as a team about 16 weddings for next season that we're doing. And
Wow.
every single morning, I am waking up to at a minimum 103, 105 emails just in my inbox. And then I have my team's inboxes
Oh my
that we're
goodness.
constantly filtering every day. So communication and that skill and that being understanding of like time management to respond to people quickly at a very high level is imperative in what we do.
Yeah,
Makes a lot of
and just
sense.
making sure the communication is on point too, because I mean, we do a bit of planning here, and there's been many times where, and I'm sure you've dealt with it in the past, couples are communicating different things to different vendors, and we end up with different timelines. But we just wanted to ask from your perspective, what happens when vendors aren't communicating with each other, or everyone has like a slightly different idea of what the plan is?
Yeah, I think having your planner be like the North Star of this is the final say is going to be really important. However, I really believe in collaboration. I've been doing this
Yes.
for 11 years and I have been on all sides. I have a very strong production background and my team has a very strong catering background. So we know every in and out of what they're going to need before they ask for it. So thankfully, we're able to control the narrative of the logistics to make sure it's very successful for everyone. But if I'm working with a vendor who maybe is not as seasoned or we haven't had that relationship yet, you better believe there are multiple venue visits involved. They are multiple calls of like, hey, let's just catch up on expectations for the two of us. How can we make this better for you? Because I always want to make sure that they understand that I have their best interest in mind, but I need to follow the couple's expectations and we need to be aligned and not sending mixed signals because that's when emotions can run high and stress can start entering the process. Is when there is no North Star of that planner leading it.
Well, and I'm going to pick on photographers here, but it's generally the photographer decides to go rogue and it ruins everything because it's like, dude, listen to the plan. Like, let's follow the plan. Like, let's follow the boss, and it just makes for a much easier, stress-free wedding when, like you said, we're following that one North Star. So it makes,
Absolutely. And I think some people do it better than others in every regard. And I think it's a learning experience how we go naturally. But I think everyone wants a relationship with the couple. So that way, when they're serving the couple, they can feel connected, do their best work, and be creative. And some planners don't allow that. And I understand why I'm not like that.
Yeah.
And I can see where photographers and videographers or even DJs will just go rogue and try to have that relationship because that's what they really need. So I can see where the tendencies come from, but I try to reassure all of my vendors, like, trust me, you're going to know them. You're going to love them. We're going to have calls. Don't go rogue, please.
No, and you bring up a good point because it's so much better when there's a team approach to where there's a dictator, running. You know what I'm saying? But when we all go in it together, we're all on one team, team couple, and, things go so much smoother. But you have a good point about like when it's not collaborative there. So
yeah, and I agree on the collaborative aspect too because we're experts, but so are they, right, in their own field. So it is good to ask them questions and lean on them and their expertise, but still at the same time having that North Star so we can all do our best work while also being on the same page.
Yeah, makes sense.
If you're getting married in California's Bay Area or Tri-Valley and you're looking for wedding event services, we'd love to help. At Fantasy Sound, we offer DJ, lighting and decor, photo booth, and coordination services to bring your wedding vision to life. From your ceremony to your last dance, we're here to make your day seamless, fun, and unforgettable. Let us make your fantasy a reality. Go to fantasysound.com for more information.
All right, Irene, how do you build a timeline that actually works rather than one that just looks good on paper?
We start with a very basic structure of things we know are going to happen, like what is going on the invitation? What time are we telling the world first? And then we will slowly start building it out. I think our timelines start at a half a page a year out. By the end of the year, it's probably 3 to 4 pages because of how detailed and time sensitive everything is going to be. But I have everything there that everyone's going to need in regards to, all right, it's catering's turn. What times do they need for the kitchen? Great. Okay, now it's musician's turn. What times do they need for sound check and such? And I'm working almost backwards category by category to make sure everything interacts appropriately. We have venue access appropriately for everyone. And people feel that there's some transparency that even though you as production don't really care about the catering schedule. Like you don't need to know when dinner's there, but knowing that it's happening around you is really helpful because when you're loading in and such, I mean, you can be very mindful of, hey, I'm sharing this space at this time. Okay, great. Let's make sure that we're collected at this time so everyone else can work around their road cases and such. So it's a lot of transparency and nitty gritty follow up and details that we do pretty regularly.
And it's funny. I love that you said you build it out to like 3 to 4 pages when it's all said and done. I would work with a planner regularly that his timelines were on average 45 to 55 pages, like average.
No.
And it was just like
Maybe the whole BEO, not just my
yeah,
title.
that's the timeline we would get as working for that planner. And it was just like I would be like, flip, where are we? And it was just a lot to
too
keep
much information.
There's like a point where it's too little, and then there's too much, and there's got to be a blend. But 45 to 55 page, like it just, and I would get stressed every time I would work with this planner because I knew because of the timeline.
It's coming.
But meanwhile, I absolutely loved the planner. He was fabulous to work with and a lot of fun, and his timeline would stress me out every time. So
I think there is a fine balance in terms of our BEOs. Yes, our BEOs are longer, but I'm not sending that to the whole world. That is, wow, what anxiety. No, thank you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. What in the past, what are some of the biggest timeline mistakes that you've seen couples make, or maybe some inexperienced planners make in the past?
Yeah, I think underestimating how much time it takes to get into a wedding dress.
Yes. Or bustle.
That is our bustle. Yes. Those are two great ones that could derail by 30 minutes or so if you don't plan accordingly. I would also say a quick way to derail a timeline is not sharing it with your family beforehand. I always encourage my couples to have, and I give it to them, a brief timeline of expectations for the family to know so that they can be on it when it comes to family photos, what time dinner is, knowing when the ceremony is, because they are so nervous and they haven't been involved in this whole process that jumping in, they just want to do what's right. They just want to support the couple, but they don't know what's too much or too little. And if you don't communicate ahead of time, you could derail a timeline very quickly by mismanaged expectations.
It's so true.
Yeah, and it kind of puts less work on the vendor team too, because they're prepared and the vendor team isn't employed into gathering everybody at all those times, because that's one thing we've been trying to tell our couples too, is the photos always are crazy. So we've been having a designated family member help be the wrangler for those people, because sometimes they're just running off in different directions and they don't know that things are happening.
We actually implemented about 2 years ago a people manager on our team. So there's one person who is literally just in charge of people and can triage as needed. They're reading the shot list out, all of the things. So that way we can focus on production and timeline and logistics. And when things hit the fan, we can take care of it without sacrificing the people advantage of things. It's game changing. I recommend it for every planner, every couple. Please have a people manager.
I've never heard of that, but that's such a great idea.
Yeah, it's fabulous. All right, so things run long, or how do you build buffer time into the timeline so where couples can really feel comfortable on their wedding day?
I think my timelines are very exact. So I'm saying 8:05 first dance, 8:10 tote, a very, very, very exact. But within that, we all know this is our expectation, this is our goal. There has to be some fluidity in regards to what happens in between, how we manage people, and making sure that emotions and guest experience still remain our North Star of how we want to operate things. So there are built-in buffers. So for example, getting a dress on, I factor in about 45 minutes, really only need 30, but there's 15 minutes built in. For hair and makeup, there's a buffer of 30 minutes at all times in our timeline. So if it runs long, it technically didn't. It's going to be fine.
Right.
And when it runs perfectly on time, we end up an hour earlier than the ceremony. But there's a whole hour factored in all these little places that things could go wrong. You could go hug your parents. You could have a surprise gift from your partner that showed up and you want to take 15 minutes to yourself because it's emotional. We want to build in that time for them to feel everything and more on their wedding morning before we get to the ceremony and get there without oh my gosh, are we late? It's no, actually, we planned for all of this to happen. That's going to be completely fine.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and if not, an extra hour is super nice to have to just spend time with family and friends and the wedding party. So no one would be upset about an extra little hour.
No one would be. You got more photos. Who would ever be upset about that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So nice to plan in advance. And funny, I feel like this question kind of goes back to your first story, but what's something that is as simple as like transportation or load-in or setup that couples might not realize can completely affect the timeline the day of?
Well, prior to my experience, I've always said to my couples, transportation is not an afterthought vendor. It's a high expense item,
Yes.
highly logistical, and it could really make or break your guest experience if not done well. Point in case.
Yes. Yes.
So it's very, very not sexy to handle and not a sexy topic to talk about. But those aspects really make or break the entire event.
Yeah.
From a transportation perspective, hiring a caterer that's have a well reputation and really knows that venue is a big one. There are little things and intricacies that this is why we have a preferred vendor list. This is why we work in the places that we do, is because we can only ensure the quality if we can control who is a part of it, who is not a part of it. Now, with that, I am an open book and always welcome new people into the fold with stipulations of, are you insured? Are you a real business? Do you have a real team, not a temp agency associated with you? And is this your first wedding at the venue or not? None of those answers are always correct or incorrect, but we need to be open to collaboration and embracing new people while still maintaining a very high quality for our reputation.
No. No, and you could work at a wedding with a plan. Like we have planners that we work with all the time and have brought us into a venue that we've never worked at because we have a relationship and trust. So there's all kinds of different ways. Like you said, there's not a right answer to that question. So
There isn't, but because I have 3 offices and I primarily work in like Newport, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, and Utah, I actually fly vendors back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
just because you're in one market, oh my goodness, it's my favorite thing. Just because you're in one market doesn't mean you're not right for this couple. You might be the perfect person. And I'm like, great, I have a relationship with you. I know you're going to do a great job. Can I please fly you here to do it?
Yeah.
And we do it all the time.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. So, Irene, what are some of your favorite emergency kit or like problem solving tools that have saved you on the wedding day?
Oh, our team just did an entire overhaul, so I love that you're asking this.
Oh, can't wait.
Our list has been updated and it's quite nice. I think things we always have, of course, a mini sewing kit that is pre-looped or threaded with white thread. So as soon as I feel like right after first dance, I've sewn more dresses on the dance floor than I can count.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so I had to sew a groomsman's pants once. That was crazy. You ripped his pants in the middle.
I can't. Oh, that reminds me too. Right after first dance, she's breaking it down. Now we realize the capacity of this dress. And I am quickly sewing all of the things that possibly go wrong. So that's one moment. Also, a new one this year was shoe glue. I've had a shoe sole fully come off.
Yep.
For one of the groomsmen. And we went back and opened all of the glue and we got some shoe glue. That's a new one that's like, it always has to be in the kit of something to do. Also, for my ladies, not only boob tape, but like nipple covers, because I find bridesmaids always forget that and then are very self-conscious.
Yep.
So personal hygiene things as well.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I've had the shoe issue before with a guest. Yeah, and we didn't have shoe glue, and I felt so bad because we tried all the glue that we had. Like, I think we had Gorilla Glue and hot glue, and I spent like 30 minutes just like pushing this shoe together, trying to keep the sole down, and eventually it was fine, but it did take a lot of glue, and I'm sure shoe glue would have been lovely to have on hand.
It's magical. Can I add cobbler to my resume? Is
that exactly.
If I have shoe glue?
You wear so many hats. Want to be a guest on the podcast? Whether you're a writing professional with insights to share or a couple who recently said I do, we'd love to have you on the pod. Come share your experience, your advice, and your story to help future couples on their journey. Apply to be a guest and join us behind the mic. Find more information at podcast.fantasysound.com. Okay. How does guest experience influence the logistical decisions that you make throughout the day?
Oh, it dictates them. I don't think it influences. Without that North Star of how does the sister react versus the mom versus the couple, it is our complete North Star for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're big on that here too. I mean, that's Kevin's buzzword. He's saying, and it's funny because Riverside, that's our recording platform, they do this thing at the end of the year with podcasts where they tell you what word you said the most on the podcast. And I feel like this year I'm like, maybe it'll be guest experience because it's just been the hot topic. And I think that's great though, because I think at the end of the day, that is the most important thing.
It's always funny to look back on those words that we say a lot. So anyway. All right, Irene, what are some little, I know we do.
We will. Yeah.
But Irene, what are some little logistical touches that can make guests feel incredibly taken care of?
Always at their guest arrival, I want some sort of beverage offered. I don't care if it's water. Please have a person, a human, not a sign, interact with them, give them something in their hands, show them exactly where to go. That's a huge one for us and our team.
I like that.
And it just makes it everything so much more hospitable. And when you have, for example, when you have a can in your hand, you're more relaxed, you're chill, you're going to a brewery, having pizza, that's fine. But when someone hands you like a beautiful glass or a flute or champagne flute or wine glass, you automatically stand up taller, your shoulders go back, and it just like sets the expectation of like, this is the attitude I am expecting of you tonight. Please continue. So
it
just
sets
like
the tone.
first
Yeah.
part, it does, which I think people underestimate like rentals and like what they touch and feel to guests so much, but like it truly does affect how your guests will act. So that's a big one for me for sure of how we really start off with a great guest experience.
Yeah, no, and you set the tone right away.
For couples who are considering whether they need a planner, because that's who we're talking today, the couples, what parts of the wedding logistics are hardest to manage without professional help?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I'm so biased. Everyone needs a planner. I mean, I want a planner for my own life. Like, how can I get like a house manager for myself? Everyone should have a planner at a minimum. A coordinator that enters like 6 months before. This whole 3 month, 2 month, one, like that's all bullshit. Like that, there's no way you can rescue an entire wedding for whatever decisions were made, whether they were incoherent or not within that time frame. So 6 months minimum. Some of the things to really look out for that why you really need a planner is making sure that all of your vendor timelines match up and they all have clear expectations. So for example, how the DJ or the band is managing toast on top of catering service. Is the bar open or not? Do you have enough alcohol for that part of the night? Those are such silent expectations that everyone just assumes would be perfect. But if someone's not really orchestrating that fluidity of it, it could go wrong very quickly and you could be late to your dance floor because of a 30-minute toast and maybe get an hour left. You lost your whole reception.
Yeah.
So little things like that of how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. That's where your planner is really putting it perfectly in line in order to make sure that it works well. And if something goes wrong, are you really going to sit there in your wedding dress and fix it? Are you going to ask your best friend who should be holding your dress? No. You need to have someone you can point to and say, this is a problem, I'm upset, fix it. End of story.
And the toast. That's all we have to say.
Yeah, that's always the one, toast. Man. It's always the toast. Yeah.
All right. So, Irene, how do you balance a couple's like dream vision with what is actually practical from a logistical standpoint?
I think as a New Yorker, I grew up in the city. I am too blunt for anybody.
Okay.
So I actually, when like doing my discovery calls with clients and really understanding if we're okay, I say it up front. I said, hey, I'm way too transparent of a person. Please don't ask me a question you don't want the real answer to. If I see something, I'm going to say something. I have been trained by the MTA. I cannot just be quiet. So when I see things that really are not going to interact well together, or I know is going to put you over budget, or your expectations of this beautiful draping full ceiling is going to require an extra day of load in because of how everything else needs to get into access to the venue. Like, I'm going to be saying those things immediately outright. It's never an answer of, oh, we can't do that because of this. It's, we would absolutely do that. In order to do that, we need X, Y, and Z also in place. Are you willing to manage that or handle that as well, or pay for that additional labor in order to make it happen?
And I absolutely love that, because there's planners that we work with that are the complete opposite of what you just said. And it makes it, yeah, because then they set us up as the vendor or the supplier to fail. Like, they'll come to us. I'm like, and I'll look at the planner. I'm like, this is not logistically possible. Why are you even bringing this to the table? Like, why didn't you not shut this down from the get go? Like, help me help you, your clients, but you're making it more difficult to work with. And there's a few planners that to the point now where I don't even want to work with them, because they make the process so much more difficult.
That's so unfortunate.
Yeah,
I
it
think,
really is.
honestly, with the community I've built around this company and how we all interact with each other, I have noticed that we have built a safe space for people to ask for help. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're loading in for tomorrow's event today because a florist said, you know what, I just don't think I have enough time. I know we said that we were fine, but like, I'm nervous about it. I said, great, let me call the venue. Let me call in some favors. We're going to have an early load in for you, and we will get as much things as we can for you to accomplish 50% of it tonight instead. And we're doing that later today. That wasn't expected when we started planning the process, but having open communication and being able to have that platform of being like, you can talk to me and you can tell me your needs and concerns. I'm always going to help you. I'm always going to move heaven and earth to make sure you can do the best job, because at the end of the day, I'm here to serve my client and their expectations. And if there's anything I can do prior to make sure that happens, you better believe I'm going to go to heaven and earth to do it.
Team couple all the way.
Yeah.
Always.
And yeah, you're a very good team player to be taking care of, not only the couple, but the vendors in that way too. So, okay, well, I think we're coming up on the end soon. So we did want to ask if you could give engaged couples one piece of advice about the invisible logistics of their wedding day. What would you want them to understand before they get too far into the planning process?
Any planner that you're even considering hiring, every one of them will always do a consultation call prior. You don't have to commit to the entire thing if you don't want to just yet. Reach out to planners, tell them what's going on. Can we have a consultation call? I have questions. You can decide based on how they answer those questions if that planner is going to be the right fit for you. But those consultation calls are invaluable to even think of, oh, I'm in the right headspace or not. The ones to watch out for are planners who are like, of course, of course, of course, of course, of course, and are not honest of, no, for $200,000, that's actually not going to be possible. We actually need 500 for what you're expecting. I don't want to sign a contract with you with false expectations. So let's be very honest about this up front. Those conversations will set you off on the right foot for the rest of your planning process. Even if you started a little bit and you're like, I'm not sure if I did this right, get a consultation call on the schedule. Go call me. Go call some of our friends. We will refer you out to people if we are not available. We have an awesome list of people from across the country that I regularly give inquiries and referrals to, because they're so good and so amazing at all budgets and all levels. A good planner will always give you a resource, never just a no.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Redirect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all a community.
Yeah.
All great.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Irene, we can't thank you enough for being on our podcast. Where can our listeners connect and find you?
Yes, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Irene Co Events. And feel free to as well go to our Spotify. We have a podcast there as well called Peak Perfection that you are more than welcome to listen to more advice as well. But we are so excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Kevin.
Oh, thank you. All right. We will have all of Irene's information in the show notes as well, so you can connect with her there as well. We want to remind our listeners to hit the subscribe button. If you've not done that yet, please hit that button. Also, don't forget to send your stories and questions to podcast@fantasysound.com. Folks, we'll see you next time on another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married podcast.
Brought to you by Fantasy Sound Event Services.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me or August if you have any topic you would like us to cover.
Or if you're struggling with your wedding planning, please be sure to submit a question to podcast@fantasysound.com.
I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're a fan, we'd love if you would subscribe to the podcast and leave a review.
It helps others find our podcast so that they can learn from our guests too. And to everybody listening,
Happy wedding planning!